everyone. Welcome to Love and Tater Tots. I'm Sue and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be remaking this table, refinishing it, giving it a new look. It's just a nice little side table and it has the slanted boards creating a bookshelf on the bottom. So we're going to remake this, give it a new look, update it. My husband uses it in his office and it's about time it got a new look. So let's get started. Step one in refinishing this table is to give it a good cleaning. So I'm going to use some spray soap here, some cleaner. We're going to give it a good cleaning all the way around, and then we'll be able to move on to sanding. You don't want to sand the dirt into the existing finish, so you want to make sure you clean all the dirt and grime off that you can before you sand the finish. Look at that. That is just from the top of this piece. So I know I'm doing the right thing by cleaning it all off. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the rest of it, and then we'll move on to the sanding part. Look at that, side two. It could be that it's a lot of dirt, but I think there's also a lot of tannins in this wood. So I'm going to have to make sure I put a good base primer on here. So here's my table. It is all prepped and ready to go. So my idea for this is to stain the top and to paint the bottom. Now, this has a lot of tannins coming through, which a lot of wood pieces do, and I did sand it, so that would really release them. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Boss primer, but I'm going to use gray. This time they do have a gray, which is nice to put under a colored paint that you're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put my Boss primer on the bottom because the top will be stained, and so I don't need to put anything on there. We're just going to put the stain on here once we have the painting all done. So I'm going to get the table ready so that I can apply the Boss. I just want to get a nice even coat of this primer on the whole thing. So I just taking my time, reloading my brush and making sure there's a nice even coat all through here. Sometimes it's easier just to turn a piece upside down to get to parts that are difficult to get to otherwise. It is now time to paint. I am so excited. I always love this part when you can see the color go on, and it's like all the prep work you have done just has put it all together, and you're able to do the exciting part now and put that color on, get it started, really see the piece come to life. And so I'm excited to get to this part. There are some basic things though that went in to get me to this part. So when you paint with chalk paint, one of my go-tos is to have my water bottle because I do like to try and keep it as smooth as possible. And it just really helps. Some paints are so thick, or, like with my paints, sometimes I don't use them for a while and they thicken up, and you can water them down to get a better consistency. And you can also use your water on your paintbrush to help smooth it out as you go. So, and this is another fun part, is I had taken I had taken 3 different paints and created my own color. So we're gonna see how this goes. It's a lighter blue color with a tint of some light green in it, and it was also has some like a fluff color in it, which is a warm white. So we're going to go ahead and apply this. So it's come out like a light blue color. And so I'm anxious to see how it looks on the piece. And I have it right side up for the moment. I'm going to paint the parts that are difficult to get, and then that are difficult to get when it's upside down. And then I'm going to paint the parts that are difficult to get when it's right side up. So we're going to do it both ways. And since I'm not painting the top, I'm going to be staining that when the paint is done. I can set it on upside down on my stool here so that I'm able to get both sides. So let's go ahead and put the color on here and see how this looks. I'm going to start by loading my brush with some water. If you don't do this, then your paint will get all absorbed into the brush. So I'm preloading it with water, which I would use anyway because of keeping my brush strokes smooth. I don't know if you can see this color, but it's just like a bluish green. It's not too far off of what the primer is. The primer has more of a gray undertone, but this paint has more of a bluish green undertone. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint this. I'll try and get you up close so that you can see the color, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. Time to paint the other side. Sometimes it helps to spray the area also just a little bit so that the brush goes smoothly across the board. You don't want too much water on there because it'll dilute your paint too much. Just a nice fine mist spray will give you plenty of movement with your paint. Okay, now it's time to stain the top of this. I am going to be using one of my favorite stains, and it is the Dixie Belle No Pain Gel stain, and this one is in walnut. So I'm going to use that for the top of this. So I have gone ahead, this has been sanded really well and cleaned off. And now I'm ready to apply the stain. With this stain, it is not water-based, it is an oil-based. So we're just gonna put it on. This kind of stain just really goes over top. And so we're just gonna go ahead and apply this. You wanna apply it in long, even strokes across your wood. You do not want to do it in short little strokes. You want to make sure that you've got nice long strokes going on. So we're going to go ahead here. I wore my gloves because I really don't want to have stain all over my hands. So let's go ahead and start applying this. I'm going to start at one side and go the whole way across, getting the stain evenly applied. And the thing is, you can go back over this, just keep going in even long strokes and applying more as you need. This is something you can reapply. If you want it darker, you can add more. We're going to apply the stain and bring it to the depth of color that I want. I'm going to try and get it nice and even. The color on the legs has turned out really pretty, and I think that this will be a nice contrast for that color that I ended up creating with what was left of paints in my cabinet. So I'm really pleased with the color, and so we'll see how it turns out. But I think this darker this darker stain will be so pretty on it. You see how that looks there? We're just going to even this out. And then we're going to go around the lip here and make sure that we get all of that covered. You got to make sure you get down around that bottom edge like that, or else it'll show the color from underneath on there, and we don't want that. We got to make sure that the appearance of this is complete from all angles. When someone would look at the table from the side, you don't want them seeing some part that's not stained. So we will definitely make sure that that is completely covered so that it's not going to reveal any of that. So it takes looking at it from a different angle. So, and one more side. Now this will have to dry for about 3 days. It does take longer for this to dry out. You want to make sure that it's completely dry before you put any type of finish on it. Otherwise your finish could become cloudy from any moisture that is left inside. So I like to use these sponges because I can throw them away then when I am done. There is time also using this stain to go ahead and go back over it, finish it up. Make sure that you've got it all complete. I just like to make sure I have all those edges done. And there we go. That should take care of that and give me a nice finish. My table has finished drying and I am ready to add some finishing touches. I'm gonna paint this stencil on. I had gotten this beautiful stencil, see, medallion, a boho medallion, and I am going to place this on here. It's not gonna cover the whole thing, and I want it offset, so I have placed it with just the top half of the medallion on and the center. The rest of it will not be on here. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to paint this medallion on here, and we'll see how it comes out as I finish. So here is what it looks like. It's offset there a bit. Beautiful top now. So I'm really pleased with this. I'm going to put a finishing coat over top of the whole piece, the top and the sides, just to seal it in. And then we'll be finished with it and ready to set it back in my husband's office. Thanks everyone for joining me today as I worked on this table. It actually took closer to a week to get this project done, just because of unforeseen things that went on in our lives this past week. But you know what? It still all came together and it really turned out beautiful. My husband's very pleased with it, and he's anxious to get it back into his office so that he can use it. So I thank you for joining me for this fun adventure today, and I appreciate you. Come and be inspired by what goes on and the ideas that I get. You inspire me, and I in turn hope to inspire you. So thanks for joining me. Give me a thumbs up, like my channel, subscribe so that I can up my numbers, and I really would appreciate that. And I thank you so much. You have an awesome day. Bye-bye.